This is a response video to Matt. It's also other videos been made on this general subject again of free will. We've been over this and over this. By the way, this was a Matt video. I actually understood 90% of it or something, most of it, and I even liked most of it except for the end. But so we'll go through some of the points. Matt's stuck. Uses this language, dualism. Like it has to exist, because some ancient philosopher came up with a term. We are stuck with it forever. We have to think in that context, and so basically his argument is there has to be some sort of conflict somewhere, that you can't, that there can't be a material universe that explains or accounts for what he calls the mind. The mind is the brain. There's one thing here. There's not a mind. There's brain. Okay? It has different programming. It has different functions, but it's brain. It's not mind. Mind is a archaic concept, like heart. There's the heart muscle, and then there's this rhetoric of emotional heart. And as modern human beings, we know they drew some wrong conclusions in the past. We don't have ether. You don't drill holes in your head and gas doesn't fly out, and demons don't pop out. So the world has changed. Science has made us a little more scientifically literate, a little more literate in understanding how we work and the universe works. So anyway, he insists on creating, like I said, the whole video, he sort of basically concedes, okay, there's no free will, but, he always has the but that's okay, I have a lot of buts too. So anyway, he ends up with this notion of habit versus novelty. Now, neither one of those words mean a hell of a lot to me, and so I would argue that what is the real conflict is the conflict between our native natural conditioning, and the environmental conditioning that takes place through our maturation, through our early years, through our development, versus knowledge or intelligence. Not just intelligence in terms of the function of the brain. I'm not talking about the logical process. I'm talking intelligence in the CIA kind of notion of the word. Intelligence in terms of information, understanding, knowledge. That is the conflict. That's where I say there's the battleground taking place in the brain. Both of these things have no free will. The language is evolving. The understanding is evolving. Every time my brain processes a thought, it rewrites the software. It rewrites how the brain will think the next time it thinks. Okay? But there's nothing mysterious in that. It is programming. And it's, like I said, the only thing that unique about it is the fact that it is programming that is rewriting itself. That its result isn't just a conscious experience, its result is to rewrite the very fabric of the software. So the next time the software runs, it runs in a new way through the modifications that have been made through the new information that has been absorbed. And that is in conflict with this conditioning that is very static. You do not snap your fingers and change your sexual preference. You do not snap your fingers and all of a sudden, you were afraid of spiders and you're no longer afraid of spiders. You don't change your preference in dietary meals or whatever the thing is. These prejudices, you can't just snap your finger and get rid of them. Okay, they are not as kinetic as the knowledge base and the logic and the language which is constantly evolving as you live. The conditioning can be changed. It's just that rewriting that software, or maybe hardware, is more work. It is harder for the system to do that because it has to do it through a reconditioning process that requires a redundancy. It requires emotion to be tied to new thoughts, and emotion tied to new thoughts, and so it takes time, and so that is the conflict that exists, though, because we can know something in our head as a fact. We can logically know race doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what color somebody's skin is. But then we might have a conditioned reaction to race that isn't consistent with that knowledge, because our conditioning isn't maturing as fast as our knowledge is maturing. So it's going to take time for us to rid ourselves of some conditioned prejudice or preference. But that is the real task in life. We know which one of these brains, we know which one of these software programs has more integrity. We know it is the intelligent one, the one that reads the books, the one that absorbs that information immediately. We know that the philosophy, the logic, that's the brain that has the integrity, and that the subjective conditioned programming is the one that is often flawed, the one that can be programmed through just arbitrary, stupid environmental circumstances, and that it doesn't even have consistency with any notion of appropriate. Okay, it just is. And so if there's any duality, that's the battleground, and neither one of these programs has anything in it that could be described as free will. It's not free, it is predestined. I'm not saying you have to go back to the Big Bang and say it's predestined from them. I just believe it is. But you certainly know it's predestined from 5 minutes ago, and I would say you can just take that argument backwards, and I don't think it's outrageous to say that the course or destiny of your life was basically set at your birth. I mean, there wasn't your course was decided like train tracks in front of you. You can't really deviate from it. The environment is critical. What the environment presents to you is critical. What books you pull off the shelf, what inspirations and motivations you have at the right moment to say, I want to read that, or else a friend tells you, no, let's go out and do this, and so you never read that book, but that book might have made a huge change in your life. There's all kinds of these interactions that completely could change your destiny. But once you understand that this thinking machine is the really important thing, then you're going to nurture it. You're going to find the time to nurture it. You're going to listen to people, you're going to read books, you're going to collect the information needed to make judgments that you understand to be informed and educated, and that you know you can speak with some, not just authority, but confidence, because you know you're not doing it just to excuse something about yourself. You're not just making a rationalization. You know when you're doing that. You know the difference. And so once you respect intelligence, you'll have the power that will lead you in a course, okay, that might look like free will. It's not free will, but it's a good course. It's a positive direction. And like I said, all that matters is to have a positive will, to have a positive, proactive approach to living your life. Damn phone.